Good morning and welcome to Humanity's Heart. I say good morning, but I understand it's not good morning everywhere in the world. My name is Dr. Robyn Mills, and my intention for today is to engage, energise and expand your heart. I'm excited to introduce my guest to you, and her name's Sherry Gavanditti. I hope I pronounced that right, Sherry.
You did. You did
Thank
great.
you. She's had an incredible life, an amazing life story, and she's going to share that with us today. But before she begins, let me tell you that she gained a full spectrum of experience in advertising, radio, television, and publishing industries. She's a writer, a photographer. She opened her own public relations agency. She's a media specialist and works for non-profit and service organisations as a communications specialist. But her passion lies in the Dreams program, helping elderly people fulfill their wishes. There's so much to talk about, Sherry, and I've only talked about a tip of what you've achieved. Welcome to Humanity's Heart.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be joining you.
When I heard about your story, I was just so deeply touched by your story, where you began life and where you are now. Would you like to talk to us about that?
Well, I can tell you that I am a survivor of many things, as many of us probably are. My mother was a young woman, a single mom, raising eventually three children on a waitress's wages. So grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and we saw it was the time of the riots and the racial disruptions in the 70s. So, by the time I was 12, I had really pretty much witnessed everything that you would see on the streets as a child, murder, um, abuse, rape, you name it. It was a very horrible time for anybody who was, out there.
That's way too much for anyone, an adult, to experience, never mind a child.
It's true, but I believe that these are the things that create us as a stronger version of who we would have been otherwise.
Yes.
So by the time I was, 12 years old, both my parents had been murdered in individual incidences. And I was a little girl living in the South, at a time when women were still fighting for basic, acceptance and authority figures. So when my parents died, I ended up going and moving in with an aunt, and she took us to Fort Wayne, Indiana. And from the South to a Midwestern town was quite a change, if you can imagine. But I always found that writing, poetry and short stories kind of got me through the rough times. And I also learned that, reaching out to others and helping them with their problems, helped me.
That's a beautiful thing, isn't it, when you come from a place where you've experienced such darkness, and yet it can be the place where the light gets in and makes a biggest difference in the world.
The Leonard Cohen song, one of my favorites. There's
Yes,
a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.
yes.
Yeah, and I think that part of what I do now, which is working at an organization that serves the aging, in independent and skilled nursing settings, we find that there are so many people. My apologies. Um, but there's so many people that really need someone to reach in and get to know them,
Yeah.
and to understand that they still have dreams, and someone that I never imagined that I would be where I am today without doing what I've done to help others.
Yes.
um, Part of the dream team is to make you realize that your dreams, you're never too old to dream, and that also goes for you're never too young to dream. So we've really I've embraced a culture excuse me, I've embraced a culture of tikkun olam, which is to heal the world. And
Oh,
I
can you
work
say
with,
that word again? I've never heard that word. It's beautiful.
yeah, it's tikkun olam. and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but I believe I am. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's in the Jewish, um, I don't know, say bylaws, or it's part of their culture, the fabric of who they are, is to help heal the world. And I've been working at Menorah Park for 14 years. I'm going into my 15th year, and those words have just really energized, my soul to reach out and help others, in a way that changes their life, and to help them realize their dreams. We had a woman who wanted to meet the rock star Steven Tyler, and she wanted him to come to her bar mitzvah. He had to perform at the White House that day, so he couldn't come. But he did sing "Dream On" in her ear, and she was dying of Lou Gehrig's, and that was just, she couldn't even speak. It was so beautiful, and that dream, it was one of the last things that she truly found happiness in. So a lot of the dreams that we help fulfill, it's their dying wish. We had a woman who wanted to take a helicopter ride. So she got a helicopter ride around the beautiful city. And, we had another woman who wanted to take a motorcycle ride. So she took a motorcycle ride with the mayor. She was 90. I'll never forget, she was going over the sidewalk saying, "Look, Ma, no hands." So to see the joy that it brings to help others, and, to be that ripple that extends, further and further to reach more lives, it's really fulfilling.
Sherry, as you're speaking, I'm wondering whether, as you help the elderly, if you're in a way helping the mother that you didn't have.
I definitely think you're correct there.
Yeah.
She was 28 when she died, and so I was terrified that I would never make 28, that I would never reach 28.
Yeah.
And then I was terrified that I would never reach, 50 or, 60, because both my parents died before they were, she was 28, he was 32. So, I really do feel like maybe I'm reaching out to find, my mom would have been in her 70s. So where I work, I have 100 moms and I have 100 pops.
That is
So
so fantastic. I really love that. What that generosity of spirit and the joy in being able to help people find a wish, to complete a wish. We have in Australia, we have the Starlight Foundation, which helps children who have illnesses attain a wish. It's the most beautiful thing, the Starlight Foundation. They might want to go to Disneyland or, go to a football match or something like that. And it's just really, what a beautiful thing that you're able to do, and to come from where you experienced life to shine such a beautiful light for people in their later years. What a beautiful gift you have.
Well, they are a gift to me as well. Menorah Park has over 1,000 residents and clients, and close to 1,000 staff. And meeting each person as an individual, you feel like you've reached into a world that, you would not have gathered information on otherwise. You wouldn't have known these people. You wouldn't have known what makes them tick. You wouldn't have known how to make them smile. So, I've made so many dear, dear friends. I'm happy about it.
Yeah. So Sherry, it sounds like you spend a lot of time listening, sitting with people. Is that true?
Well, I listen. However, with COVID, a lot of my interviews are done via phone. I write for our community magazine at Menorah Park. We put it out every other month, and you can see it at menorahpark.org in the news section. And I just interviewed a 107-year-old woman.
Wow.
And she's saucy, she's spicy, she's funny, she's sharp. Her name is Matilda, and she is just lovely. And so I have to do a lot of it by phone now. But prior to COVID, I would spend hours, talking and interviewing people and taking their picture and watching them have fun and, just living through their eyes, So I'm more prepared to grow older knowing that I have a good life ahead of me. It's not just sitting alone in a room watching a TV, with all your family and friends, off doing their business. There's options. You can stay active, you can keep your mind sharp, and you can reach out and help others at any age.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And to be able to have a job like that where
I know
you,
that you want to do it.
when I did my nurse training, if you sat on the bed and talked to someone, regardless if you talk to someone instead of methoing the benches, you got into trouble, like big trouble. Not allowed to talk to people. No, if you finished a task, then you have to methylated spirits the benches to make sure that everything's clean. So I was always in trouble because I always wanted to just sit and talk to people and reassure them, and I guess that's why I became a psychologist, because I wanted to talk to people.
Yes. That was the first thing I wanted to be, by the way.
Was it?
I wanted to be a psychologist, and then I wanted to be a writer, and then I wanted to be a nun with the go-go boots like they had on so I ended up being the writer and not the nun.
That's good. That's good. I'm sure all these thousands of people are very happy that you became the writer.
Thank you.
Sherry, I'm wondering if there's a wish. If someone was granting you a wish, what would it be?
Wow, you caught me there, Robyn. Wow. I've got several books that I'm in the process of publishing. And I've got one book already published. It's called 90 Cups of Coffee. And I've got a poetry book coming out and a collection of children's books. So if I could get a wish, it would be that my book, 90 Cups of Coffee, would reach as many hands as possible to help others. And the book deals with a reality check on alcoholism. And it really is not a preachy book. It's literally others' experiences in a paragraph or a page. It's called 90 Cups of Coffee because most people go to 90 AA meetings to kind of get themselves together. And
Wow.
so each AA meeting, there's a rotten cup of coffee in every meeting. So yeah, I thought that'd be a great name for the book, but it's a real honest and fun look. You'll laugh, you'll cry, but it helps other people. Because naturally the experiences that I had as a child, they wreaked havoc on my pubescent years and my teens and even my 20s. Until I met a great man and got married. I've been with him 34 years. But until then, I turned to alcohol, because that was just what you do when you're in pain. A lot of people turn to that. So this book that I wrote, I really want to reach everybody who could ever use it, or who loves someone, or who is that person that could just use another look. So I guess it's to continue helping people is my dream.
Yes, yes. So tell people where they can get the book, because this might help.
Okay, it's available on Amazon and Kindle and Nook. It's called 90 Cups of Coffee, and it's by Tamala Shireen, which is my legal name, Gavanditti. So that's Tamala, like Pamela with a T.
Oh, that's an interesting name. I've never met anyone with a name Tamala.
Really? Okay. I didn't really meet anyone with that name, but I did find out there's a famous actress, Tamala something. She was on the Cosby Show or something like that. But yeah, it is uncommon. But my mom called me Sherry instead of Shireen, and not Tammy, because
So I hope that someone's listening goes, I think I can help her wish come true. And it sounds like the book's really going to make a difference to someone who maybe is living with someone with alcohol problems, or has those problems themselves.
Yeah, so, and even if you don't have an alcohol problem, just to read the struggles and the triumphs of the other people.
Yes. So you have to go to 90 AA meetings to really feel like you're in control. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I've always been told. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So bring your own coffee.
Or find a really good man.
That's right. That's right. Both helps. But yeah, the good man, I've God bless me with a good man. So 34 years, 2 grown daughters and a grandson who's 10. I'm the happiest woman in the world.
Oh, grandchildren, aren't they just the gift that your children give back to you?
Oh yeah. little piece of heaven right here.
Right there. I absolutely have that joy of 5 3/4 grandchildren. I have one due in the next 6 to 8 weeks, and it's just,
Congratulations.
yeah, so it's just so exciting. I just love them to bits. I love being around them. I love listening to them. They teach me things every day.
Oh, yeah.
When you realize, you know, the way they are, their purity, their emotions are directly there, or
I
if I'm
can't tell
getting
you
to be a
that.
bit grumpy about something,
Yep.
then I can check myself when I'm around my children way more. Yes.
My eyes leak tears of joy just talking about him. I mean, I don't know why, but I just start crying. I'm just so happy to have him. So there you
Yes.
go. I'm an old sappy one.
Yeah, me too. I just, my children often say that I would say to them, if they wanted, if I offered them an apple because they were hungry and they didn't want it, I'd say, well, you can't be hungry if you don't want the apple. But now if one of my grandchildren goes, oh, I don't want an apple, I'll go, well, would you like chocolate or would you like, you know,
Yes.
whatever? So certainly I'm a lot softer as a grandmother, they tell me, than I was as a mother. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, we learn, we continue to learn. And I think we become more tolerant and realize that life is short and the things
Yes.
that we do, don't sweat the small
Yes.
things.
And I think the pressure that you are under as a mother, running around trying to achieve, and it must be even harder in this generation when they've got even more on their plate than we did in
Oh,
my
yeah.
generation. Um, they've got so much on their plate and they're running around doing everything, yet they still seem to be, well, way more informed as mothers than perhaps I was as a mother. Amazing. I'm very proud of my children.
Yeah. Imagine if you would have had the internet when you were 20. We may have had a whole different way of doing things, but we
Yeah.
also didn't have some of the tools that they have today. So we were winging it,
Well,
you
that's
know.
right. Now you can look up something on the internet and find a solution for it instantly, can't you? Whereas we'd have to ask another mother and hope they knew what they were talking about. You'd
Right.
all,
Or make it up,
or you'd get 2 or 3 opinions.
right, right.
Yeah. If you were to look back at your life towards the end and you looked back, how would your heart say you've lived your life?
I think my heart would say that I've let people in. Um, some hurt you, some don't, but my heart has been open. And I think that's important. All the crap that life throws at you, you just cannot close your heart. You really have to just continue to believe that there's good in everyone, and you don't necessarily have to like them, but, keep your heart open to learn and love. And if you do that and you give freely, then I think in the end you will die with a smile on your face. And that's what I'm hoping, and that's what I've learned. I've seen several people in my life, literally I've seen them cross over, and I know what gave them peace, and I know what made them happy as they crossed over. And that's what it is just living life every moment like there's no tomorrow,
Yeah.
and you have today, and that's what we
Yes.
have to do.
That is really beautiful, Sherry. Thank you. Was forgiveness a big part of that for you?
Forgiveness was something that took a while,
Yeah.
because I was abused as a child, by a stepfather. And forgiveness, alcohol came in to play with abuse on my mother and me also, so we had abusive people who were alcoholics in our life. And forgiveness was really hard. And I think it took me till I was 35 until I finally sit down and said, okay, why are you holding this? That person is gone, and that person took this little bit of you, but you're giving him the rest. If you don't forgive, and it's not necessarily even just forgiving him, but just forgiving God,
Yeah.
for the cards that I thought that he dealt me. And so I think that once I did that, it was a lot easier to get up and to love more freely. And, they say that, when you hold hatred, it hurts you. It doesn't hurt the person that you hate, unless you go out and, knock them off with something. But, yeah, so it hurts us more to not forgive.
Yes. That's so true. And it is freeing when you release things like that from the past, because for me, it gives more space in your heart for love.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It really does. And that doesn't mean you're not going to get hurt again, and that's the hard part is, being possessive or just trying to control everything, because when you're out of control or your life is out of control as a child, your instinct as an adult, your innate feeling is to always be in control. And so you have to forgive yourself, for feeling that way and not beat yourself up, and it may be a process, a little by little process, but
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yes. And it sounds to me, Sherry, in the work that you do, that you're leaving the world a better place. And I'm feeling that, sometimes I ask people, what is the heart print that you want to leave in the world? But I feel like I can see that your life is a heart print, that the generosity, the kindness that you leave in the world is the heart print. I feel like when we enter a room, we take the vibration, the heart print into that room. And when we leave, there's still some of that energy there. And
I hope so.
I feel like when you're doing what you do with the elderly, that you're leaving that vibration of love everywhere you go, and that the world is going to be a better place for your grandson to live in because you lived in it.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that's the case always. Um, Thank you.
He's one very lucky grandson to have such a beautiful role model to share his life with. Amazing.
He's an empath, so I'm
Is
very
he?
blessed.
Yeah.
He is
Yeah.
so sensitive. It makes my heart just swell with joy. He's
Yeah.
so sensitive and he's so aware of his surroundings and nature, and I'm just so thrilled. I couldn't ask for a better grandson.
What I love as a grandmother, and I don't know whether you know this or not, that when I carried my daughter, every cell that was ever going to, every ovum that was ever going to develop into a child was already in her. Women are born with all the eggs that are ever going to become a baby. And
Wow.
so when they're in your tummy, they've actually got those eggs developing in their tummy, creating. So I always go, I carried them. I've had you in my tummy.
I
It's
like it.
amazing to think that, isn't it? That when they're born, they already have every egg that could develop into a human being.
It
Life's
is.
a miracle and it's amazing.
It's the
I'm
divine.
wondering, you're looking a bit drunk there, Sherry. No, sorry, that was a bad choice of words. Sorry, you're wobbling a bit.
I still do enjoy wine every so often. Okay.
Yeah, I did. It wasn't that what I meant, but you were moving around.
Yeah. Is that better? Can you see me better now? The sun has begun to set and it's dark in the room.
So Sherry, I was wondering if there's anything that you would like to say that I haven't asked you.
Well, I would like to say thank you for what you do. I can tell that you are someone who is a very powerful ring of energy going out into the universe.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure to meet you and to talk with you. And you can find out more about me just by Googling Sherry Gavanditti. You can see some of the articles that I've written or been published in. And you can also read more about our dreams programs on menorapark.org. And it goes back 14 years. So be prepared, bring a Kleenex. You will cry tears of joy.
It's just been such a pleasure to talk to you today. My heart feels light and bright, and I just want to go out there and make a difference. And I hope that if you've been listening today or watching, that your heart has been engaged, expanded, energized in some way. And until we meet again, may your heart beat to the rhythm of humanity's heart. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you. Be well.